structure. This opportunity gives a property owner at least the incentive to tear down those properties, spend a couple of $1,000 or probably more like $3,000 or $4,000 actually, to get them tore down and a lot leveled off, and the water and sewer is already there. And I've already admitted this will stretch all of our patients for the next 2 or 3 years. But at the end of the program, when those RVs pull away, I keep seeing that grassy area that now has, the building has been removed, and now at least maybe the landowner at that point in time has the opportunity to sell, because who wants to buy a lot that all of that work has to be done? So they either have an opportunity to sell, or now you've got maybe a property to build a house on. Because when I look at that Upper Tannery Road, we know what it looked like before, and now all of a sudden you can visualize there's some could be some beautiful sites up through there for summer homes. Something that is similar to what we see up near the mouth of Stony Creek, those elevated homes, which in Upper Tannery Road, you're talking about maybe a couple feet. Doesn't take much there to get out of the floodplain. And I think the opportunity is there. And, you know, that's a pipe dream on my part. But I know one thing, if 2 or 3 or 4 people get on board with this, that's 3 or 4 more houses that's going to be gone. Yeah. Yes, Norris.
In regards to number 3, in looking at if we have a combination of what we're looking at with number 4 and stating lot sizes.
Now wait a minute, you said number 4 and I'm not, oh, on the other page, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
But with those as companion items, are you not actually establishing a minimum and maximum number of RVs based upon lot size as well as based upon available minimum size for units? Would this not also be covered under those items, and that this is just stating that a minimum number of RVs can be quite arbitrary just by stating that? But when you have it tied to the lot size, let's say it's whenever you talk about the lot size, we're talking about what's downtown, what's up in Riverside, what's in Campbelltown, what's up in Tannery Road.
Well, there again, we're combining issues.
But let me finish, please. Is that, all right, you've got the lot, identified lot size. You're saying doing 1 per mailing address. Then whenever you get into a situation where the person has 3 to 5 acres to develop within the corporate limits, then you're at least a big, having enough latitude to say that, okay, you've got X number of acres that you have that's available for use. Now, how one ties this in again back into water and sewage becomes a whole different bird. But I think that the two tied together need to be looked at very closely.
Tying variances 2 and 3 together so far as the number of units on those particular lots. Is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily. I know that there's at least 1, maybe 2 other individuals who have contacted me about the potential of placing RVs, i.e. like a campground, on their property.
Well, that's why
we're only looking at the variances based on,
campground.
That's why we're going back to, it has been we've been reminded here this evening that any lot that has more than one would be designated an RV park, which brings in a whole other level of compliance.
That could very well, okay, all right, I'm with you. But that lot better be a certain size.
That's correct. It would have, it would have to be.
Increase, right, okay. No problem.
There is still, there's still other items that, of course, for instance, when you talk about electrical, the power company takes care of that on our behalf. Number 7 on the, with regard to some of the rules and regulations we're talking about, there's one, if this is a single RV on a single lot, they'll just be paying a residential rate just like anyone else. With regard to these designated RV sites, I can imagine that cost is going to vary. Probably 6 campers is going to require a dumpster, would be my guess. And we'll have to, decide how much trash is going to be created. We've already kind of started paying attention to some of that, so we'll have to, that's a moving target right at this time.
I'm sure it'll have to be, they'd have to have a dumpster.
Yeah.
With 6 units there.
And remember that some of these, particularly campground sites, they would be, if we go with what the alarms are using, they don't have to hook into a sewer line. They can move their trailer to a dumping site on the grounds, which is pumped out on a very regular basis.
Well, and in our case, though, we have each of these RV camp owners that we're talking to is planning to empty into our sewer system. So they would be water and sewer customers.
That's what you have in your plan.
That's what's been discussed so far, and that's what we need to have in our plan.
Is Tom Burns does he have a dump site or is he on?
No, he's on the sewer
That's
system.
what I thought.
Yeah.
His grandfather is only for what exists.
Right.
Norris has said a couple of times the word mobile home, and you can't use the word mobile home
That's
in place
different.
of RV.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Norris, if you did not hear that, we have
I did not.
to remember that RV and mobile home is 2 different animals.
Now, you know.
They are not one and the same.
And Tom Burns is not grandfathered for anything.
Correct.
I think our current ordinance describes a RV quite sufficiently. The last time I looked at it, I didn't see any qualms with its identification.
Pretty much a standard.
I would like to know if council feels at least a marginally safer with the direction that we're going.
I don't know, you got a motion and a second on the floor.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I'd just like to say my.
Wait a minute.
Just very quickly, asking about safety. My only concern with safety is, it's not so much a safety issue, but an economic safety issue. Is that where do we end up when this is all said and done, and in 2 years they're gone? You know, then what are we left with? Are we going to make a plan for how we deal with what's left behind? Are we going to end up with a town that could potentially have just campgrounds stuck everywhere? You know?
Maybe overwhelmed with a whole big bunch of empty RV lots.
Yeah, right.
That can happen.
And
This
there
variance is only for the duration of the pipeline workers' stay here.
And the RV lots, that's a personal business issue there. You know, if they're empty, they're empty. I wouldn't think anyone that's displeased with the notion now would be upset with the thought of them one day being empty again.
So they wouldn't be able to go on being a campground after this?
The designated campgrounds that we have right now being 3. And we're looking at a 4th, as a matter of fact, as we say here. I've only identified 3 to begin with, but one of the things that, Mr. Friedel is doing here this evening is he's already going forward even before this meeting with, plans for campground.
I would like to put, is the public gonna have a chance to speak, or are we supposed to jump in when you say, is there any further discussion? What is our role in this meeting?
I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to express what you want to say in the meeting. We're moving along pretty good here. So what would you like to say to struggle with?
Are you asking me and everybody in the
I'm
audience?
asking, I kind of.
Well, I'll try to get through.
Step to the.
I'll try to get through as quick as I can, because this is an important first of all, I've lived in this county my whole life. I've watched every single flood. I've been through all of them, every single one of them, 1968.
Now, floods is such an issue.
I understand that, but that's where I'm going with this, because this ordinance, to change something that we have in place, which is called, like, it's important that if you allow this, that they comply with the floodplain ordinance. And I would like to read, because I have been in this town now for a year, and I see the town struggling with just general maintenance problems with sewer backups and crap in my yard because of a hole that was dug last winter and wasn't filled up, and it was filled with human waste. And the town can't get timely, efficiently, adequately to address that one minor problem.
We can't go on private property and correct,
The floodplain intent, promote the general health, welfare, and safety of the community. So that's the intent of the floodplain, which means anybody who is going to move their RV has to comply, which is what you all have said. So in other words, you can say that you're going to pass this ordinance, but in realistic, they could be turned down because of the floodplain. Is that not correct? Is that what okay.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying it's important that you put that language in there so that you have the key.
We've already agreed.
But I want to read the floodplain ordinance because I think it's clear that most people in this county have never read it, including myself, until today. And these are 3 important things. Promote the general health, welfare, and safety of the community. There's 3 of them, 5 of them, but these are the 3 ones that stand out. Minimize danger to public health and safety by protecting water supply and sanitary sewage disposal in cooperation with the county sanitarian, and to protect natural drainage. And this is, to me, is the most important one. Reduce financial burdens imposed on the community, its government units, and its residents by preventing the unwise design and construction of development in areas subject to flooding.
And I agree with you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Each of those items that you just mentioned addresses our variance number 3 with regard to the dilapidated structures. The health and safety issues that are already posed there are daily. We don't have to wait for a flood. They're there today and tomorrow.
You mentioned that there's people who are living in those dwellings, though. What is going to happen to those people if the landlord comes in and decides to tear it down?
Which is one of the reasons we have moved slowly. I've tried to be sensitive to folks that I realize probably wouldn't be in those houses if they could afford anything else.
Thank you for the opportunity to
Yes, yes.
One thing I want to comment on, about 6 months ago, we have an elderly aunt, and we had gone to a town, Dave Watkins, to kind of what we needed to do for a mobile home and or an RV on one of our lots. And first thing we needed was going to be an elevation survey, based on survey, whether it be a mobile home